They thought I was just the helper. When I stopped answering calls, fixing problems, and saving everyone, their whole world collapsed, and I said nothing. I used to think being dependable was a compliment. That being the one who shows up, who keeps things from falling apart, who remembers the birthdays and band recitals and car inspections, that it all meant something. That maybe, just maybe, people would see the effort and feel thankful. But I learned the hard way that when you were always there, always fixing, always catching the pieces, people stop noticing the cracks altogether. They start believing things were never broken to begin with. My name is Jack Harlan. I am 43 years old, and I have spent my whole damn life holding the line. For my family, for my job, for the handful of friends who remembered me only when they needed something. I was the one who stayed late to cover a coworker's shift. I was the one who bailed out my brother when he messed up his taxes again. I was the guy who remembered Mom's anniversary even when she forgot mine. And I never made a big deal about it. Never asked for a pat on the back. I just figured that is what good people did. You show up. You take care of things. You handle the mess so others can breathe easy. But breathing got harder for me over time. Quietly. Slowly. Like standing in a room where the oxygen is just a little too thin, and you are the only one who notices. Then came the day that I finally noticed too much. It was my birthday, not that anyone else remembered. I had not said anything about it, of course. I never did. Just like I never reminded them about my promotion last year, or that I paid off the family mortgage after Dad died. It felt wrong to bring it up. I thought they would just know. Turns out, they never did. That night, my sister Kendra called. Not to wish me well. No, happy birthday, Jack. No, hey, how are you? She jumped right into it, asking if I could pick up her kids from soccer because her new boyfriend had tickets to a concert. And I said yes, just like I always did. But after I hung up, I sat there staring at my cold dinner and something cracked. Not loud, not dramatic, just this quiet, final snap inside. I realized no one had even asked if I had plans that night. No one thought maybe I was busy. No one remembered that I existed outside of being useful. I did not cry. I did not yell. I did not send angry texts or throw a fit on Facebook. I just decided, right then and there, to stop helping. No announcement. No drama. I simply stopped. And that is when everything started to fall apart. I figured it would take a while before anyone noticed. That I could step back quietly and life would go on as usual for them, at least. I was wrong. The first crack showed up 3 days later when my brother, Tom, called me from the mechanics. His car had broken down on the way to a job interview. Normally, I would have left work early, driven across town, and either fixed it myself or paid the tab up front. That was the routine. No thanks required. But this time, I let it ring. Then I silenced it. I watched the call go to voicemail without even flinching. An hour later, he sent a text. Are you seriously ignoring me right now? I set the phone down and went back to my sandwich. That weekend, my friend Mark tried to rope me into helping him move again. This was the third time in 5 years I had rearranged my schedule, hauled boxes, and patched holes in his drywall while he flirted with realtors and made jokes about how he owed me 100 favors. Except those favors never came. I texted him back. Can't make it. He replied, you good. I left it on read. Then there was Mom. Sweet, forgetful, stubborn Mom. She called from the pharmacy, stuck in line, card declined, asking if I could just swing by and fix it. I did not answer. I did not ignore her out of spite. I just let her be. I let her solve her own problem for once. That night, I stared at my quiet phone, and for the first time in years, I did not feel like I owed anyone anything. I thought maybe the guilt would hit me. Maybe I would cave. But instead, I felt calm. Like I had exhaled for the first time in a decade. And then Monday rolled around. At work, the printer jammed again. Normally, I would have been crawling under the machine with a flashlight and duct tape before anyone even noticed it was broken. But I just watched. Watched as people poked it, whispered, panicked. Watched as Kevin from HR begged someone to call IT. Watched as my boss scowled at the pileup and finally muttered, where the hell is Jack? I was at my desk, sipping coffee. And it hit me then how invisible I had been. How much they had come to rely on the results of my work, but never once on me. By the end of that week, little things were falling apart everywhere. Birthdays missed. Bills unpaid. Leaky faucets untouched. Meetings forgotten. Emails bouncing back. They all started to notice, but none of them knew what to do about it. And still, I stayed silent. I was not trying to punish them. I just wanted to see what the world looked like when I was not holding it up. By the second week, it was not just small cracks anymore. Things were starting to shift in ways people could not ignore. The silence around me had changed. It was no longer the background hum of being overlooked. It was the sharp quiet that follows confusion. Like everyone was waiting for me to reappear and fix things like I always did. But I stayed gone. Kendra called 5 times in one morning. Left 3 voicemails. Her voice got shakier each time. She said something about not being able to juggle school drop-off and her double shift. Said she did not know who else to call. Then she added something I never thought I would hear from her. I guess I just got used to you always being there. That message sat in my inbox, unplayed, for 2 days before I finally listened to it. And even then, I just sat on the edge of my bed, holding the phone in one hand, like it was some artifact from another life. At work, it got worse. Our department missed a client deadline. First time in years. My boss, Sharon, cornered me by the coffee machine and said, "Jack, why did you not flag this?" I looked her dead in the eye and replied, "It is not my job to manage 3 departments." She blinked, just stood there like she had never heard me speak that way before. Maybe she hadn't. People started whispering. Someone actually asked if I was sick. Another suggested maybe I had family problems. No one considered that I might just be tired. Tired of holding everyone else's weight on my back while they walked on like the ground was stable. Even my landlord noticed. A pipe burst in the apartment above mine, and the building group chat lit up. Normally, I would have been up there with a wrench before the manager even picked up his phone. This time, I put the group on mute. 3 days later, the hallway smelled like mold, and people started to realize that no one else was stepping in. I had never felt so invisible and so powerful at the same time. That weekend, I did something I had not done in years. I made plans for myself. I took a trip out to the lake. Just me, a cooler of sandwiches, a busted old folding chair, and the quiet. The phone stayed off. I watched the water until sunset, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was living my life, not surviving everyone else's. But the peace did not last long, because when I got home, there was a message from Tom. Not a text, a voicemail. And what he said turned everything upside down. Tom never left voicemails. He was the type to send 2-word texts and expect an immediate call back. So when I saw a 60-second recording from him, I knew something was off. I played it, expecting more of the usual, another crisis, another mess he wanted me to clean up. But what I heard stopped me cold. "Hey, Jack. Look, I screwed up. Bad. I need you to call me. Please. It's about Dad's house." I didn't know what else to do. That was it. No explanation. Just panic. Now, for most people, Dad's house might not mean much. But for us, it was the only thing left of him. Our childhood home. Paid off. Quiet neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but it was stable. After Dad passed, we agreed to keep it. Rent it out. Let it build equity. It was supposed to be our safety net. I called Tom back. Straight to voicemail. I texted. No reply. A pit started forming in my stomach. By the next morning, the truth came out. Tom had taken out a loan against the house. Without telling me. Without asking. And then missed the payments. It was now in pre-foreclosure. I stared at the email he forwarded me, hands shaking. I could not believe it. He had always been reckless, but this was different. I called him again. He picked up this time, voice hoarse, like he had not slept in days. "I didn't think it would get this bad," he said. "I thought I could fix it." My voice stayed calm. "So you gambled the only real asset we had left?" Without saying a word, he went quiet. Then, softly, "I figured you'd bail me out. Like always." And there it was. That sentence. He said it like it was a fact. Like it was built into the world. Like gravity. He figured I would save him. Again. Just like I always did. I hung up. No yelling. No lecture. I just hung up. Later that day, my sister Kendra texted me something that made it all even worse. She wrote, "Tom told me what happened. Please don't let him lose the house. You always know what to do." And just like that, I realized they still had not learned a thing. They were not sorry. They were still expecting me to fix everything. But this time, I would not. I thought maybe, once they realized I was not coming to the rescue, they would stop asking. Maybe they would take a breath, look around, and finally face their own mess. Instead, they just got louder. Tom sent a flurry of texts. Apologies wrapped in excuses. I panicked. The bank guy made it sound manageable. I swear I was going to catch up on the payments. He still did not get it. This was never just about money. It was about the way no, all of them, saw me. Not as a person, not as a brother, as a backstop, a reset button, the unbreakable thing at the center of their lives. Kendra kept trying too. She called, emailed, even showed up at my apartment once. I watched her from behind the curtain as she knocked and knocked. She left a note under the door. Please talk to us. You are scaring everyone. I did not respond. Because honestly, I was scared too. Not of what they had done, but of what I might do if I kept getting pulled back in. At work, the silence had turned into tension. Sharon tried to call me in for a check-in. She said she was worried. Said the team was off balance without me holding things together. I told her I was doing my job, just mine. She did not like that. By Friday, I heard whispers that the regional manager was stepping in. Projects were delayed. Deadlines missed. People were starting to realize that the little things I used to do, the reminders, the calendar nudges, the informal briefings, were the glue holding the whole place together. Without it, the cracks widened. One guy from IT, who used to brush me off, actually asked me how I kept everything running so smooth. I looked him in the eye and said, I cared. That was the trick. He went quiet after that. Back at home, the loneliness hit hard. Not because I missed them, but because I started seeing how hollow my life had become. Everything I built, my routines, my boundaries, my identity, was shaped around serving other people. Without that role, who was I? A guy in a half-furnished apartment with an aging cat and a calendar full of other people's events. That was it. Until a letter showed up in my mailbox. No stamp, no envelope, just a folded page with my name scribbled on the front. Inside were 6 words. You let this happen to us. No signature, but I knew that handwriting. It was Mom's. I stared at that letter for a long time. Just 6 words. No love, Mom. No explanation. Just blame, plain and simple, folded up like a grocery list. My hands shook, not with rage, but with something colder. The kind of tired that starts in your bones. You let this happen to us. Like I had flipped a switch and made the storm come. Not Tom, with his reckless loan. Not Kendra, with her endless expectations. Not the family that leaned on me until I was flat. No, somehow, I was the one at fault for stepping aside. I thought about crumpling the note, tossing it in the trash. But something about it felt like a line being drawn in permanent ink. So I tucked it into my desk drawer instead. Not because I wanted to keep it, but because I wanted to remember. That weekend, things got quiet again. But it was not peaceful. It was the calm before a storm they had no idea was coming. Monday morning, the group chat lit up. Kendra, has anyone talked to Jack? Tom, he blocked me. Mom, this is his way of punishing us. The comments piled up. Not a single one asked why I was gone. They just assumed it was some dramatic stunt. Then came the real twist. I got a call from an unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail. But something told me to answer. Jack Harlan. Yes. This is Officer Reed with the local PD. Your name came up in a welfare check request. Said your family was concerned you might be unwell. I sat there stunned. They had called the cops on me. Filed a wellness check. Not because I was in danger, but because they could not stand not having access. Officer Reed was kind enough. Asked a few questions. I gave short, simple answers. I am fine. I do not want contact with them right now. I am safe. Just choosing to rest. He paused for a moment and said, Sounds like you're just setting boundaries. I exhaled. Exactly. He chuckled a little, then said, You would be amazed how often I hear that from people like you. The ones who always carry everything until they stop. And suddenly the world thinks something must be wrong. That hit me harder than I expected. Because he was right. They were not worried about my safety. They were panicking about their own dependency. And for the first time in years, I felt justified. Not angry. Not vindictive. Just clear. I was not punishing anyone. I was simply removing myself from what never belonged to me in the first place. By the 3rd week, the narrative had flipped entirely. At first, I was the silent helper. Then, the absent disappointment. Now, I was the villain. Kendra sent a text, long, frantic, and filled with that specific kind of guilt-shaming only a sibling can master. She said I was tearing the family apart. That Mom was having trouble sleeping. That Tom might lose the house. She wrote, You always said family sticks together. But now you are acting like a stranger. A stranger. That one stung a little. But what came next, that hit different? Tom posted something online. A long, passive-aggressive post about betrayal and how some people only love you when it is convenient. He did not name me, but everyone in our circle knew who it was about. The likes and comments rolled in fast. People chiming in with, "Stay strong, bro," and "You deserve better." I sat there, watching the hypocrisy pile up like garbage after a storm. They had spent years taking. Now, the moment I stopped giving, they rewrote the whole story to make themselves the victims. Even at work, things kept unraveling. A big client dropped. My boss had to hold a team meeting about workflow inefficiencies. The irony? The stuff that went wrong were all the things I used to handle without credit. And now? They wanted solutions. They wanted Jack back. One guy, the same one who used to brush off my ideas in meetings, came up to me like we were best friends. He said, "Hey man, I know things have been rough, but we could really use your magic touch on this one." I looked him in the eye and said, "I am not a magician. I was just doing my job." He laughed, awkward. "Yeah, but no one does it like you." That was the first real compliment I had heard in years. Too little, too late. Then came Mom's second letter. This one arrived in an envelope. Handwritten, neat cursive, like she had taken her time. Inside, she asked me to come to Sunday dinner. Said they missed me. Said I was being too proud. Said that sometimes being the bigger person means forgiving people even when they do not ask for forgiveness. That line made my blood run cold. Because she still did not get it. I was not waiting for an apology. I was waiting for understanding. And they had none. So I folded the letter, tucked it beside the first one, and went on with my day. Outside, the world kept spinning. Inside their lives, it was all starting to collapse. It started slow, like everything else. A missed mortgage payment. Then two. Tom called me again, this time from a different number. I did not answer, but the voicemail came through. He sounded desperate. "Jack, they're taking the house. I tried everything. Please, just call me. I'll pay you back." The thing is, he would not. We both knew it. That promise was as hollow as the sympathy they never offered when I was drowning under their needs. At work, Sharon finally snapped. She cornered me after a meeting and asked if I had checked out. I said no. I was doing my job. Just not everyone else's too. She looked genuinely confused. Like the idea of me doing only what I was paid for was some kind of rebellion. Meanwhile, my coworkers were struggling. One of them, Melissa, pulled me aside and said, "I never realized how much you handled until it was gone." I nodded. Neither did anyone else. At home, I started sleeping better, eating better. My apartment slowly turned from a pit stop into a home. I painted a wall, bought a real couch, started reading again. For the first time in years, I had energy left over at the end of the day. Not for others, for me. Then Sunday rolled around. I knew it was dinner day. I also knew they were expecting me to walk through that door like nothing had changed. But I didn't. Instead, I went to the park, watched kids playing, watched dogs chasing frisbees, listened to the breeze rustling through the trees. I stayed there until sunset. When I got home, there were 3 missed calls. One from Mom, one from Kendra, and one from a number I did not recognize, but I knew who it was. The voicemail said everything. "You win, Jack. You made your point. Are you happy now?" No, because it was never about winning. It was about surviving. The real point? They still did not get it. Because the second I stopped fixing, everything they built started breaking. A week after the voicemail, the tone started to shift again. Not because they had changed, but because they had run out of moves. Kendra texted, "We've been talking. We get it now." Then a follow-up, "We didn't realize how much you did. We took advantage. We're sorry." But the words felt soft. Too clean. Like they were copied out of a guide on how to apologize without actually feeling anything. Still, I read it twice. Then again. And for a moment, I wondered, what if they meant it? What if this was the beginning of something better? Then I saw the next message. "But we really need help with the taxes. Tom is a mess and Mom's out of meds." There it was. Wrapped in apology, but still a request. Still asking. Still assuming. Because to them, understanding meant appreciating me as long as I kept helping. That night, I sat at my desk and opened the drawer where I kept Mom's letters. I read them again. The ink had faded slightly, but the weight was still there. I thought about all the holidays I spent driving across town with casseroles and wrapped gifts and zero thanks. All the times I paid for dinner without question. All the birthdays I remembered. All the apologies I never received. And I realized something deep, quiet, and final. They missed my help. Not me. I was a utility. A habit. A system that made their world easier. And when the system stopped, they did not mourn the person. They mourned the service. So I closed the drawer, deleted the texts, and for the first time in a long time, I stopped wondering if I was the bad guy. Because this was not revenge. It was clarity. A month passed. The silence held. I saw updates through mutual friends. The house was lost. Tom moved into a tiny apartment. Kendra started working a second job. Mom stopped hosting Sunday dinners. The family, once held together by invisible string, had unraveled into fragments. At work, they hired 2 people to do what I used to manage alone. They called it restructuring. The irony did not escape me. I did not laugh. I just kept showing up on time, on task, on my own terms. One afternoon, Sharon stopped by my desk and said, "You know, it's weird. Things don't run the same anymore." I looked up and nodded. "That's because I stopped making it look easy." She stared for a second, then walked away. And that was that. I never made a big speech. Never staged a dramatic exit. I just chose to stop. Stopped explaining myself. Stopped being the fixer. Stopped holding what was never mine to carry. In the quiet, I found something I never expected. Peace. Real peace. Not the kind that comes when everyone's happy, but the kind that comes when you finally understand your worth, even when no one else does. So now, when people ask what happened, why things fell apart, I say nothing. Because the truth is simple. I did not destroy anything. I just stopped fixing what was not mine to carry.